Hi, everybody. I am super excited to be here. I am really grateful for Kent and Chevet's talks. I think I've been through every version of web development that Kent was talking about. I have been doing web development for about 15 years, and I'm excited for the next wave. What's next? I'm excited for WebAssembly, Remix, all of these new ways that we're going to be building things on the web. So this wouldn't be a talk about a React conference talk without a little bit of React. So this is all the code you're going to get in my talk, sorry. I just wanted to give you a little bit of context about myself. Like I mentioned, I've been doing web development for the last 15 years, and for the last 4 years I've been working at Box. For most of my time at Box, I've worked as a software engineer, but recently I just became the engineering manager of the e-commerce team. And our team manages all of the sign-up flows at Box, and as well as all of the online transactions. So moving from being an individual contributor to a manager is a major shift. Getting out of my comfort zone of coding and overcoming the fear zone of this new role, drinking from the fire hose of the learning zone, has led to a massive amounts of personal growth in many ways for me. Before we dive into the journey of going from individual contributor to manager, I want to tell a little story. So growing up, I took swim lessons for 2 weeks every summer, and I was an okay swimmer, but I never competed on a swim team. So when I got to high school, I decided to join the swim team, and it wasn't very hard because if you could swim, you could join the team. I showed up to my first practice, and I was pretty intimidated by the other swimmers on the team. Some had been swimming on club teams for many years. One of our first practices, we did our workout, and then the coach shifted to practicing dives off the diving blocks, which is something I had never done before. I had no idea what I was doing. So round after round, diving off of the blocks, I would belly flop. And after about the fourth or fifth time, with my skin really red, my coach finally noticed what was going on, took me aside, showed me some techniques, and then I was able to dive off the diving blocks. So what does this have to do with software engineering? So as an individual contributor early on in your career, you are typically hyper-focused on individual projects and tasks or swim lanes, as well as enhancing your capabilities as an engineer. You might be developing your back-end backstroke, while another engineer is perfecting their front-end freestyle. You might see more senior members of your team butterflying their way through hundreds of lines of code while you're still getting the hang of a code flip turn or a git revert. Occasionally, you might be belly flopping into some really unreadable code. And sometimes those belly flops can be really painful and cause a sight incident. I'm sure we've all been there. As you build up your engineering muscles through lots of repetition and practice, your capabilities expand beyond just writing code and pushing it to production. Your daily tasks start to encompass more of the following: code reviews, mentoring, collaborating, planning, prioritization. This was my daily role at Box. And this was my comfort zone when I was offered the opportunity to try out management through Box's Tech Lead Manager program. So I was initially on the fence about this shift to management. While I was intrigued by the potential growth, I knew I would experience moving into this new role that involved learning new skills. I was under the impression that I would be mainly focused on these types of tasks, like performance reviews and people management and coordinating with HR and lots of meetings. I was in the fear zone. I was afraid that I was giving up a core part of what I enjoyed about software engineering, things like technical deep dives to solve hard problems, writing code to solve those hard problems, and the satisfaction of seeing my code being used by users on a daily basis. I worried that my coding muscle that I had worked so hard to acquire over the last 15 years would atrophy. For several weeks, I deliberated on what I should do. While deliberating this decision, I recognized that this emotion of fear I was experiencing was my body giving me information. I knew I might experience some belly flops in this new role, but I shouldn't let that fear override my opportunity for growth. I certainly didn't let my fear of literal belly flops deter me from learning to dive. Fear is information. I chose to do something with that information instead of letting it inhibit me. So, moving from a singular hyper-focused state, just like one swim lane, to this new role made me feel like I was drinking from a fire hose. Rather than being hyper-focused, I was now on the metaphorical pool deck with a much higher level view of what was going on with the team. Initially, this was the biggest shift for me in moving into management. I was no longer just keeping tabs on myself, I was now keeping tabs on 8 engineers and their individual swim lanes. I absorbed as much as I could about what each team member was working on. Spending one-on-ones with them, asking lots of questions, and making sure I understood what their needs were helped me feel like I had a grasp on what the needs of our team and what we were accomplishing. Through this learning process, I realized that much of my day-to-day life as an engineering manager had a lot of the same elements to it as when I was a software engineer. The amount of time spent on each of these is different now, and admittedly, my coding skills are a little rustier than they used to be, given I'm not heads down writing code every day. But being an engineering manager involves a lot more technical work than I initially thought. And working with my team to come up with creative solutions to technical problems has been a huge source of satisfaction for me. So, a study done in 2015 of 35,000 workers found that technical competence was a major factor in a worker's job satisfaction. Many factors matter for job happiness. This is what the study found. But what this study found was that technical competence was a major factor. In engineering, this matters immensely. Have any of you had a boss that wasn't able to grasp the technical concepts of what was required of your job? It's not fun, and it can cause a lot of stress for you as a software engineer. On the flip side, though, just being technically competent doesn't guarantee success in management. There are a lot of other factors and skills that are needed in a management role. One myth in making the move to management is thinking you'll have these amazing, phenomenal cosmic superpowers, and you get to make all of the decisions. You'll have all the control and get to tell everyone what to do. The reality, though, is being a manager isn't really about having power at all. It's more about empowering others to be able to do their job. Really empowering others involves a lot of skills that you can only learn by doing the job. No amount of books or TED Talks or even conference talks can give you everything you need to do the job well. Learning to lead is a process of learning by doing. It can't be taught in a classroom. It is a craft primarily acquired through on-the-job experiences in which the new manager, working beyond his or her current capabilities or their current capabilities, proceeds by trial and error. This was my experience. Lots of trial and error. So once I overcame my fear of actually stepping into this new role, I wasn't done getting out of my comfort zone. It's been an ongoing process. In fact, I'm not sure I'll ever be completely done, which is why I've only shown the learning zone in all of this. There is a growth zone. I don't know if I don't think I've gotten to that point yet. One of the other biggest sources of growth for me was learning how to have tough conversations with people. I am a people pleaser by nature, so having hard conversations is very, very hard for me. You may even have that opportunity as an engineer on occasion. It's much easier to shy away from those types of conversation as an engineer. As a manager, the health of the team depends on you giving the right feedback at the right time and in the right way. This was really, really tough for me. I had to practice getting over the fear of having hard conversations many, many times, and I'm still not comfortable, but it has gotten a lot easier. In giving feedback of any kind, whether it's good or bad, I've found that following this pattern helps me stay focused on what really matters and alleviate some of the fears I have about giving it. The format it is, what did you observe? And being objective about that observation allows you to stay focused on the actual behavior or performance rather than labeling the person. What is the expectation? What did you expect to see in this situation? Did the person blow you out of the water with an epic performance? Let them know. Finally, what is the impact? How has this changed things for good or bad in your working environment? Following this pattern has not only helped me in my work life, but even in my personal life. It even helped me get a refund from a company that was giving me the runaround on a purchase I had made. So these experiences that I've had have gone beyond just my corporate life or my career in engineering. So some of you may have seen me share this image before. The Ogimi village, I hope I said that correctly, in Okinawa, Japan, is renowned for being a village of longevity. One thing that healthy and active seniors have in common is that each has an ikigai, or something worth living for. A national survey conducted in 2018 in Japan found that 47.5% of people aged 70 or older are active in ways such as working, enjoying hobbies, or participating in community activities. Another study conducted on people over age 65 and over revealed that those who only work for financial reasons compared with those who work in pursuit of their ikigai have a 1.55 times greater risk of decline in functional capacity 2 years later. For me, this transition into management has helped me more fully realize my ikigai. I am very passionate about helping others grow in their career, and seeing my team do amazing things gives me a lot of satisfaction. I was just mentioning to somebody in the conference that for me, discovering React was like this mind-blowing experience. When I first found it, I was in the MPA land of building web apps, right, where you have a duplicate logic, and I found React and I was like, oh, this is so amazing, and I felt like I grew so much in my career when I discovered that. And this move to management for me has been another one of those like aha moments of like, oh, I've experienced so much growth. So I hope you all can find your own ikigai, whatever that looks like, but it's been an amazing process for me, and I highly encourage it. If any of this resonates with you, definitely try it. Get past the fear zone and into the learning zone. And I just wanted to end by saying thank you to my amazing manager who has coached me through this transition. I would have had a lot more belly flops if I had not had him there to teach me and guide me to really learn how to dive off diving blocks of management. And then I also wanted to thank some of my coworkers who'd helped me craft this talk, and then my husband, of course, who's always been super supportive throughout my career. And that's it. Thanks.